Well, good morning. I feel like this spot was made for me. Like I just walked up on it and there was a little rock and it looked like a chair. And I was like, I want like a nice little mesquite backdrop that I can shoot a video in. And boom, it appeared. I've been thinking about consciousness lately, where it comes from, what it is, what is consciousness. And a lot of people say it's a field and we are like antenna and we tap into this field, right? But I've been playing around with my own ideas and I started thinking about consciousness, the source of consciousness being like a sun, and not a sun in the sense where it generates like heat, but it generates consciousness, like source energy, and it emanates from this sphere or ball and it emanates outwards. And the closer you get to that center of that sphere, the more pure the consciousness gets. And I thought about it this way because of the book, The Kybalion, and the law of correspondences, where it says, as above, so below, as within, so without. And so we see this ball in the sky, this sun, and it gives life, it gives energy. If it wasn't for the sun, we wouldn't be here. And so, maybe consciousness is something similar to that. And consciousness has its own rays, right? Like you look at the sun and you see this light just beaming off of it, and it's so massive, it's so large that it just has these rays coming off of it. You can't see individual rays, but they're infinite. They're shooting out in all different directions. And maybe this ball of consciousness is outside of space and time. It's outside of the material world, but it's so pure and it's everywhere that it pierces through all of that. And this ball it was never born and it will never die. And essentially the way I've been thinking about it is that at the end of these rays, each ray is like a source of consciousness, a source that maybe our antenna can latch onto. Like, when they say, have you seen these videos or these pictures? Um, they show a sperm going into an egg, and it's like the moment of conception, and this little like ball of light comes off of the embryo, the egg. It's like, what if that at that moment, you know, that that embryo claims a ray of source energy, of consciousness, and then its DNA and its body, it starts to form around that ray, and that's what our bodies are. So it's like we're a suit forming around a point of consciousness, and then throughout our years we just kind of use up the body, and the body gets old and it dies away and it falls away from that energy. But only the energy dies. The energy, I mean, I'm sorry, the only the body dies, the energy always stays. And so another life is able to take on that ray, or a different one, but it's all the same. It's all the same source. And that's why we say that, we're all the same. Like, I am you and you are me, and we are just looking at different beings having different experiences, but we all have that same center within us. And it's like what the mystics and the yogis talk about when they talk about consciousness and becoming aware and becoming enlightened, I guess you could say. It's that center point of stillness that is within us all. because life is constantly changing. And I just barely recently realized the how poignant this is, like how utterly beautiful it is, because right now, like, I'm sitting in the desert and nothing seems to be changing. I'm just sitting here. Everything seems to be still, but it's not. It is changing. Each moment is changing. Each moment is different from the last, because it's a new moment. It's this, beautiful little bird is doing its chirp. The sun is moving, you know what I mean? It's going through the sky a little bit more than it did before. So the angle of light is changing. I am getting a little bit older. I am looking at a different spot. The air is getting a little bit drier in each moment. You know what I mean? So each moment is actually changing. It's kind of like watching the lines on a road as you're driving. You're just driving, you're staring out the window. And time does seem to feel still sometimes, especially if you're like me and you kind of just like to drive in silence sometimes. It doesn't feel like anything's changing, but each moment, those lines are passing right by you. Time is moving forward, everything is changing. And the only way that you can actually understand that everything else is moving is because you have a center point of stillness within you that is never changing. It's observing. You are the observer, and you have to have that contrast. You have to have something that is still and never changing to be able to observe everything else that is moving and always changing. They can't be one and the same thing. So I think that is the reason why we are able to find deep and everlasting peace and enlightenment. Although I can't tell you about that experientially. I feel like I'm moving towards it. I feel like I'm getting glimpses of it every now and then. I feel steady and more calm than I ever have in my entire life. And I think it's because I decided to, about 4 months ago, really take my awareness seriously and treat it as a waking practice. I no longer want to just sit and meditate for 30 minutes a day. I want to meditate in my waking life. And I think that's where everything really clicked for me. But that meditation practice, the years that I've been doing it, it was the foundation for what I'm experiencing now. I had to learn how to sit with myself before I can be conscious and awake with myself during the day. And so it's all really beautiful. I think this life is amazing. And I start to see people and I see myself in them, and they mirror myself back to me. And I understand that even though we are all very different, we are all very much the same. And that's kind of comforting when you think about it. And it helps us look at each other with a little bit more compassion and with a little bit more of our own stillness. You know what I mean? Because, when we're judging others, we're actually judging ourselves. And that's not to say that we're never going to judge. I mean, we have discernment, we have opinions, we have this and we have that. But, when we harshly judge somebody else, there's a part of ourselves that is being harshly judged in the same sense. And so we have to realize that, because we have to look at ourselves and we have to become self-aware, self-conscious in order for us to actually grow. Well, I think I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to enjoy this beautiful morning. And if you watch this video, I appreciate you hanging out with me. Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great life. And remember, I am you. You are me. Wash your ass. Stand up straight and lift heavy weights. All right. Peace out.